Hey everybody, and welcome to Merlini's Mailbag episode 19, and the topic of this one will be Safelane supports first daytime. So a lot of people ask me about, oh, what should we do in the safe lane? I feel like I not exactly sure what to do. Sometimes I'm not there to protect my carry. I try and stack, but I still can't get levels, and other people are dying around the map. They don't exactly know what to do. So this is just a brief guide on what to do as a safe lane support in the first daytime, which is 0 to 6 minutes into the game. So the actual question that I received this week is, which is the best way for supports in a safe lane tri-lane to gain a fast level 6 without leeching off their farmer's experience or disrupting their farm? You often see the lane equilibrium shifting to the enemy T1 tower even after stack pools, and thus giving the enemy long lane hero levels that he/she should not be getting. This in turn makes it very difficult for the safe lane farmer to achieve maximum creep score. Body blocking the enemy creep wave to keep it from under your own tower is also not a viable option against certain long lane heroes. And against most long lane heroes, you can follow a pretty easy steps 1, 2, and 3. Like Lone Druid is a little bit tougher, maybe like Weaver or Bounty Hunter, because they can like easily pull the wave. And what this means is they go in between T1 and T2 with the bear or with a hero, and then just bring it to their T1 so they get levels. Aside from that, which you only see from much better players, this is what you should be doing. So step 1 is secure your jungle, and this is before the creep spawn. So what you want to do is move into the jungle before the creep spawn, just so nothing strange is happening and nothing that you don't want to happen is happening there. So you want to try to predict your opponent's lanes firstly. Usually you can tell, generally, like if it's a storm, he's probably going mid. If it's a clockwork, he's probably going off lane. If they have a faceless void or anti-mage, is probably going to safe lane. If you have problems predicting opponent's lanes, then it just means you probably haven't played enough. And just play more Dota, and then you'll start seeing familiar patterns, and then you'll be able to predict. And then you also want to scout to confirm, because sometimes people will switch things up and put Storm Spirit instead of mid. They put him in the safe lane farmer role. Instead of having Clockwork in the safe or in the off lane, they have him in the safe lane solo, and they put an aggressive triple lane. And you don't exactly know what your opponents are going to do, because your opponents are different every time. And even if they are the same opponents, they don't play the same way every time. And you also always want to have sentries or observer wards. If observer wards aren't on you, then make sure they're to your offlaner. But regardless, you should have sentries just in case they ward your spawn. So, for example, in like a game like this, I'll just like show where your positioning should be. You should either be standing like over here, so you can see people come up the hill over here. If they're 5-manning and like doing something very dangerous, then you can just back off appropriately. Since it's daytime vision, you should still be able to see very, very far. Or you can stand over here, so that if they come from over here or over here, notice like this distance is like very, very large. Your daytime sight is around 1800 for most heroes, which is way far away enough so that you should be able to avoid most ganks. And if they come as 5 or they come with an aggressive triple lane, you'll see it and you'll be able to dodge the gank. But this is all about pre-creep spawn preparation, and you need to be able to do this. If it's just a clockwork or something like that, then you'll see him too. You can be like, okay, you can check his inventory, see if he has any observer wards, and see if you need to be able to see if you want to like de-ward the spawn. Sometimes they place wards here, sometimes they place wards here, sometimes they place them actually inside the camp, sometimes they place them lower, sometimes they place them like behind your tower. You don't want to waste all your gold looking for observer wards that you don't even know are there. So like even if you do have to run away from a gank, you can always check their items, and it'll give you a lot more information. Information, as in many other games, is very important in Dota. So observer wards you can like also place behind the tower too. You don't actually have to have them like at the rune or to block the enemy's creep spawn. You can also have them to scout the lane and see where the opponent is, or if people are helping them out. So secure your jungle firstly, and try and predict the lane so that you can react accordingly. And then step 2 is to zone your opponent out. So in the example that I was just showing, it's a solo clockwork in the offlane, and they have 2 ranged heroes that are capable of trading many right clicks with him, because he's a melee hero, and if he gets close enough, he'll battery assault and probably trap you in a cog, and he can like rocket now and then. But for the most part, you should be able to right click the hero to make sure that they aren't coming up to the lane. Most of the time, the creep wave will be just outside of the T1 tower, maybe around 1200 1000 to 1200 range away, and in this like very safe position where your carry Jo in this case is just free farming as a life stealer, and then their offlaner should be like way far off, like pretty close to his T1 tower. If he goes past the river, you're probably not doing something right. So these two heroes can just like stand right here and just zone him out, and just like if he comes out here, just right click, right click, right click. He's forced to just blow regen, and he won't be able to do anything to you. He might rocket now and then, but that's nothing that a one Tango can't solve. So just zone him out, and if he comes up, just push him back, and eventually he'll be conditioned into, okay, well, I need to sit on my T1 because I can't do anything else, and that's called zoning your opponent out. There's this like zone that they can stay in, and anything past that they can't come in, or whatever, this is your safe farming zone and he can't come into this area. Regardless, it's called zoning your opponent out, and just make sure they don't get free experience. He is level 3, but for the most part you can keep him relatively under-leveled by using this technique. And if they do manage to trade hits, for example, if it's a windrunner who can trade hits with you pretty easily, you want to have enough regen to trade hits. And even if you don't have don't need to use the regen for trading hits, you can always pass it to your carry, because sometimes they're forced to tank creeps at a tower because you're creep pulling and they don't want to miss last hits. So they'll often tank creeps to actually get last hits. So in a way, you're like transferring your gold to them, which is pretty useful because carries are generally much more effective with items than supports are. And sooner or later, as in the question, like the creep wave will be pushed into his tower, whether your carry is bad at last hitting or maintaining the creep equilibrium right outside your T1, or whether one of your supports forgot to stack, or whether just not all the creeps die. For whatever reason, the creep wave is probably going to go into their tower, and it should culminate in a tower dive or smoke if done properly. So you can still zone people out at the tower too. If they want to get experience at tower and you have like a triple stun lane, like Sven, Leshrac, +1, plus like Shadow Demon, you just kill him at the tower, and then he won't get any experience. And all of those precious creeps and experience will be lost because he'll be dead. And if they TP back, you just kill him again. You should have enough mana for that. Make sure you have clarities to if you actually think you're going to be able to get kills. And you don't just let him like get free experience at the tower if you think you can kill him. If you think you can kill him, then either smoke around the tower so that you can just kill him at the tower, or just run out to him and kill him, or just zone him out even at the tower. You can just like stand in this area and threaten like a telekinesis into a pullback in this case, for a potential kill in case he does decide to come a little bit too far up. So your second step is to just zone this opponent out as much as possible. And then lastly, your step 3 is to secure farm for yourself or for others. And by others, I mean not only your hero in mid, maybe your own offlaner, or maybe your mid laner needs help too. If you did this properly, your opponent should never know where you are, because like Clockwork doesn't know where anyone is at the moment. He doesn't have any observer wards out. None of the heroes are showing in lane, so he has to live in constant fear. As he has to play as if there are 2 heroes right here ready to go on him anytime. And you can use this to your advantage. You can just creep pull and get experience while the opponent's getting none. You can try and smoke mid and kill these heroes. They have a dual lane in mid. If they try to play aggressively on the Storm Spirit, they can just like sit up this hill and counter initiate that way, or they can smoke all the way top so that the Tidehunter gets a little bit more. Perhaps they can even kill the Queen of Pain, or just have TB scrolls. You don't necessarily have to have smokes to rotate. So you want to secure farm for yourself or for others. This is going to vary game to game as to how exactly you're going to accomplish this task, whether it's creep stacking and pulling, which is the most common one, just because you can always do that. You can smoke gank other lanes, which I talked about, or you can sit behind high priority targets like the Storm Spirit in mid, or your carry on bottom lane in case there's an aggressive triple lane. You just want to sit behind them just to ensure that they get farm. So after these 3 steps, it should be like, if you follow these for the first daytime, it should be pretty smooth sailing from there. Just run around with your other supports and try and make things happen around the map. But you want to scout your own jungle, predict the bonus lanes, get some more information so you can react accordingly. If it's a weak one, you can zone them out. If it's a triple lane, you may need to play defensively. If they place observer wards, you need to play sentries. Zone your opponent out. Just like right click them, cast some spells on him. Don't let him come up to the wave and just get free experience. And lastly, secure your farm. So these are pretty basic steps, but again, there's always multiple ways to accomplish this, but I'll just show you how this Clockwork has to play. So Clockwork has no idea where these supports are, so he's forced to scout himself because he doesn't have observer wars, and these supports should probably have sentries. So he like stands over here so he gains vision of this area, making sure the supports aren't right here, ready to kill him in case he comes up to the wave. And he can like try and get some experience, but as soon as they see him come close, the supporters come in and start like right-clicking him, making him go away. And this is exactly how you should play against an offlaner. You just constantly right-click him if he comes up because you're range and he's melee, and they can't really do anything about it. They don't have infinite regen. He has 4 tangos as well as a bottle, but eventually he's going to have to retreat, and unless he gets super lucky with a rune like this. But in general, they'll be forced to retreat to the tower and be zoned out. And then and just make sure you don't steal farms for your carries. Carries hate that, and you can find farms another way. You can find experience of farms just by killing people, killing Dragon Knight in the middle, or creep stacking, creep pulling. If you're having troubles with it, you can just pick an easy support. By easy support, I mean probably Shadow Demon and Keeper Light, because these 2 heroes are really, really easy to kill creep stacks with. You just illuminate and stack, or you just stack Shadow Poison. Either of those are very, very easy, and they have like pretty good cast animation, decent move speed, decent damage, so that they can right-click people to zone out. So if you're having trouble, try one of the easier heroes, and then once you do that, you can try and support with a wider variety of heroes and just accomplish more. But this is just a basic set of guidelines as to what to do as a support during the first nighttime. But thanks for submitting the question. I believe the guy's name was Roshan Pariani. That was the guy's email address. I've never heard of someone being named Roshan, or I don't know if it's a troll name. But regardless, thanks for the question, and this will conclude Merlini's Mailbag episode 19. Again, I do this every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, although it won't happen for the next couple of weeks because of TI3. So Mailbag episode 20 will be sometime in the middle of August. And be sure to subscribe if you like my videos. Thanks for watching.